Allie.
I'm Zoe.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Julia.
Okay, hi, my name is Alexandra Pena, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about universal health care and how it would benefit us all as Americans. So I'm going to begin with Joe, and I want you to picture Joe a little bit as I'm talking about him. Joe is homeless. He used to use drugs, but he's been clean now for about 5 years. And now he has a steady job as a sign twirler on the corner. He is looking for another job though, and he's working towards getting his own car, so that way he has a warmer place to sleep. Usually we overlook Joe, but Joe is human. Next I'm going to talk about Bill, and picture Bill as well. Bill comes from a well-to-do family. He has a 3-story house that he shares with his beautiful wife and his daughter. He rarely gets anything more than a cold, and he's a stockbroker. Bill is what we as Americans usually strive to be. But Bill is also human. So what do Bill and Joe have in common? They both deserve the same amount of health care as a basic human right. Universal health care would create equal medical services for all. It would eliminate the possibility of rejection due to a pre-existing condition, and it would make health care more easily accessible. And I'm going to begin with equal medical services for all. Most people like Joe would go to a fast and free clinic, which are often incredibly busy and very underfunded. This can cause mistreatment or even misdiagnosis of a patient. According to the World Health Organization's article Questions and Answers on Universal Healthcare Coverage, universal healthcare would, quote, increase the number of healthcare services over time while at the same time reducing the amount of out-of-pocket costs. This would mean that a patient doesn't have to visit some dingy, underfunded free health clinic. Instead, they can visit whatever practice they want. Universal health care would ensure that anyone who needs medical attention can receive it, and can receive it at the same basic level as everyone else. Which leads me to my next point of a standard that needs to be set. With a basic standard, a patient does not need to wait hours for one specific physician. Universal health care would allow for patients to see whichever doctor they like, and not just the one that they are specifically restricted to from their healthcare plan. This allows for basic healthcare to be accessible to anybody. The more open the system is, the more doctors are available to their patients. In the New York Times, the article entitled "A Better Path to Universal Healthcare" by author Jamie Daw, he writes that as doctor availability rises, as does the potential for those who need help to seek help. And now for my final point, universal healthcare would pretty much eliminate the rejection of a patient due to pre-existing conditions. Universal healthcare would be given to every man, woman, and child, pretty much every citizen. It would eliminate for the possibility of someone to be rejected on the basis of diabetes, cancer, obesity. All those things would be covered. According to NPR, Taking the Measure of Universal Healthcare in America by Joe Neal, pre-existing conditions are the #1 reason for rejection of a patient by a healthcare provider. It's actually even higher than economic status. That can seriously hinder a person who needs medical help over a condition that they might not have been able to control for hereditary reasons or whatever. It also covers the elderly, which as you get older, it gets much harder to find a healthcare provider outside of Medicare, and Medicare is dwindling as the new generations come up. In conclusion, a Gallup poll from 2017 says that 52% of Americans support universal health care. And you should too, because it provides equal medical services, makes healthcare easily accessible, and eliminates the possibility of rejection based on pre-existing conditions. So, I urge you to call your local representative and tell them that you support universal healthcare and that you want it to be passed. Thank you.